If I had no time, this is what I would do. And if you have got a full-time job and you've got no desire to start swinging hammers, time is your problem, right? You're very scarce. Then here are 3 of the easiest ways to start investing, right? Because I really hear you guys. A lot of you just are time constrained. That's your major problem. So here are the 3 easiest things in real estate you can do if time is your major constraint more than anything else. If you've been thinking about buying your first property, but you feel unsure or behind, listen, you're not behind. You just haven't been given a simple roadmap to follow. Most beginners have the ability to start, they just don't know how. I'll walk you through the beginner roadmap in a free workshop. Tap the link and join us. So the easiest way is what's known as long-term rental. So here, long-term rental, by the way, just means 1 year. That's how I like to look at it, 1 year or longer. Now, some people might fight me in the comments and say, well, 6 months is long-term. Sure, but we're thinking that's more like medium-term, my approach. So we're thinking really long-term, like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. That's kind of like your long-term rental. You're not worried about having to find another tenant every few weeks or every few months, right? It's not short-term and it's not medium-term. Long-term, they're there at least a year, okay? So you're kind of stress-free for most of the situation. So this is quite simple. It's stable. You're getting your monthly income. I know there's evictions and there's things like that that can work out, but we really want to look at what's the simplest strategy. And if you can get a really good property manager, they're very cheap to do long-term rental because they're, the property manager fees, they go up if they've got to do more work. So if you're doing short-term, even medium-term, you're going to have higher typically property management fees if you want to outsource this. And if you're watching this video and time is your issue, then you want to outsource these things, right? If your issue is it's not money, because if it is money, then maybe you have to actually do it yourself. But if it's time is your major constraint, then long-term, because long-term is low maintenance. Yeah, you could have a really terrible building, things could go wrong, bad tenants, but typically it's like a car. If I gave a car to some family, they're going to use it for a year, I'd expect less wear and tear than some people coming in for 2 days, renting it for 3 days, renting it for 4 days, right? Because you're going to get people coming in and just as soon as they figure things out, they leave. It's the next family. Same with the car where they're moving the gear shift, or I guess we call it manual. I guess you guys in America call it the stick shift, right? So they're just getting used to things and they're pressing the wrong buttons and everything, right? So they're going to ruin the car very, very quickly. That's why you don't like to buy secondhand cars that were used, for instance, as rental cars. Now, this is the same for your real estate. If you've got people that are, pulling blinds and pressing the wrong buttons on the air conditioning, messing around with the appliances, it's usually a user error. It's things like they're using the washer and dryer, they don't know how to use it. If that's what you get with short term, you don't get that with long term. As soon as they figure things out, it's the same renter that's there for a year or longer. This is perfect for those of you that are, let's say, regular job, W-2 beginners, and that could be regular job, that could be a neurosurgeon for all I care, but if you've got a W-2, right, you're an employee, this is a really good way of doing it. Now, even if you're a self-employed individual too, this is kind of hands-off the easiest. It's the closest thing to passive. If you want passive, by the way, think about a REIT, a real estate investment trust. So you can buy these almost like index funds or mutual funds, but you're not going to get the kind of return that you can get with actually actively buying a property. But if you have a good property manager, they can usually find a team to take care of it, maintenance, etc. They will deal with the notifications and communication with the tenant. They will find you a tenant. They will do all the things in terms of writing leases. They will hands off. Only now and then they might get in touch with you and they'll basically give you things, for instance, like your accounting bills and things like that. They might, so you can set up your relationship with a property manager and just hand it to them and they take care of it. A little bit like when you have a CPA or an accountant, only with the CPA and accountant, like you are doing a lot of the work finding the documents. In this case, they're doing the day-to-day. They're dealing with the property. They're sending over and kind of the contractors. They're really scheduling the contractors. They're communicating with the contractors. They're even paying the contractors from the income that they're receiving as rent for the property from your tenant. So they're dealing with everything. You want a low-stress life. Long-term rental could be for you. This is the way it is, and it's also you're helping out in terms of providing housing. This is good for affordability. This is really helping this direction. So this could be perfect for you if time is your major constraint. Even if money is too, long-term rental, hats off, is one of the easiest ways. Like, okay, you could just buy a property and just leave it there and hope that it appreciates, or buy land, for instance, or try to speculate, but that's a bit more advanced. So we're kind of thinking about beginner strategies here in this video as well, so I don't want to get into too advanced things. Now, the second strategy, if time is your concern, if you want to make a little bit more money, and you're okay, like you're comfortable in a certain amount of vacancy, a certain amount of turnover, but not too much, you could consider mid-term or medium-term rentals, MTRs. That's what I'm currently doing. So I do medium-term rentals in my duplex, I do medium-term rentals in my upcoming quadplex, things like this. I have long-term tenants there right now, so I kind of do a little hybrid strategy there. Now, the medium-term rentals, you typically want to furnish them, as opposed to long-term rentals where the vast majority are unfurnished. Medium-term rentals, the vast majority are furnished. Because for these, you're kind of thinking 1 month, typically up to 11 months, at least 6 months. And, it is the length of stay, but it's also the kind of the furnishing aspect of it. These are usually professionals that come that don't have the time or the desire to furnish a property for themselves. They don't want the hassle of, or they don't have the time to go down to whatever store. It could be IKEA, could be a better store, etc., just to get all their furniture. They don't have time to kind of put it up, to decide. They just want to come in turnkey, almost like a hotel. They want hotel living. Who would these people be? There's a lot. Travel nurses, clinicians, visiting clinicians, could be people on rotation. So I've had travel nurses. I've also had fellowships. So people coming over studying to do, let's say, hand surgery. So I had a couple there that were doing that for about 11 months on an 11-month lease, right? Fully furnished, all ready to go, just traveling there from Pittsburgh. So again, you could have those. You could also have people like myself in academia, visiting professors, right? We're usually staying in a place for 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month, even 6 months sometimes. Usually it's less than a year. So in this case, we might decide, you know what, it'd be nice if I can come into a place where I don't have to deal with furnishing and then selling all the furniture or just dumping it at the very end, right? So don't want to do that. It's too much work, right? That might be fine when you're in college, but as you're professional, you don't want to deal with that. So you're kind of going to these kind of people. Could also be insurance. So I've also right now, I've got someone staying, a couple staying because their kitchen went on fire, right? So in that case, we're thinking about insurance companies that are paying because, well, their kitchen went on fire and for the next 2.5 months, they need to leave and it's going to be some work done. They can stay at one of my rentals. So that's what I do there. So insurance is great. There's also corporate housing, corporate leasing. Sometimes people want to stay for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, etc. These are all different ways. Medium-term rental, the big difference here is you're going to furnish the property. Now, you can always outsource this. If your time is not, if time is your biggest issue, you can outsource all of this, as I have. You can get people to come in, to furnish it for you, that'll run it for you. It's, usually you're going to pay a little bit more in terms of the fees for the property management of a medium-term rental than you are for long-term rental, because there's more interaction, there's more, vacancy risk, things like that. But you can get a bit more in terms of the higher rates. So you're getting a bit more money without the short-term rental headaches. Short-term rental, if you're telling me time is your issue, then short-term rental, I hate to say it to you, it's not for you. Unless you're already very experienced like I am and you have a whole teams of people that can come in. But even for me, time is becoming an issue and I try to minimize my time, but time is not my major concern. Like it is and it isn't. What I mean that is I have freed up a lot of my time, so I'm time rich. However, in a sense, I'm always making sure that I'm going to maintain that time richness. I don't want to do everything myself. When I had one unit, when I had only one short-term rental, my very first property that I was running was a short-term rental. I was spending all of my my spare time, if you will, dealing with it, which was just too much. So eventually I had to outsource, get teams, and teams will really help you. So that's where the medium-term rental could be for you if you want a bit more in terms of higher rates, but you don't want the headache of short term where you're constantly communicating. There's the messaging, there's all the cleaning, scheduling the cleaners, the maintenance, there's also the wear and tear on your property. There's just so much more involved, even setting it up. Yes, I know you can outsource it, but if you don't already have a team to do that for you, then short-term rental is not for people who have no time, right? If they're very, very constrained time-wise. So medium-term rental could be that sweet spot if you're kind of thinking, all right, I want to make a bit more money, but I want people that are staying for a few months, and I don't want them just coming in and going out and coming in and going out. That's just too much for me. So that could be a nice, interesting second strategy. A third strategy, and this is a very cool one that I also use, is house hacking. This is where you live in one unit and you rent out the others. So if you have a duplex like I have, that's 2 units, or a triplex, so 3 units, or a fourplex I'm buying right now, this is going to be where you live in one and you rent out the others. So the others are basically helping you pay your mortgage, if you will. Now, even if you have a single home, let's say it's an apartment that you're living in, that you own as well, or it could be that you're owning a twin home, sharing a wall, or it could be that you're in a row home or townhouse where you're sharing at least one, but potentially 2 walls, right? It's a row of homes. So if you're there, but you're in one particular unit, that's your one, the only one you own, right? Or it could be that you're actually having a detached single family, right, where you're not sharing any walls. That's the typical in the US. So any of these where you just have that one unit, so it could be one family living there. Well, look, if you've got multiple bedrooms and your insurance allows it, you could potentially have lodgers. So check with your insurance, right? And you could see if you can get lodgers, or you can get extra people that'll be there, that'll help you. It's like having roommates. Like maybe some of you had roommates when you were living with your parents, like your brothers and sisters, or it could be that your parents, right? Or it could be that when you were in college, you may have been living in a dorm, right? And that's what they're sharing all the time. So here with house hacking, we're saying, well, if it's a single family, then why not consider having somebody, maybe it's a friend, someone else, sharing it, right? That's there as well, paying down the mortgage for you. Maybe they're contributing towards utilities. Maybe they're paying a little bit extra that'll help you with your mortgage. That's house hacking, kind of subsidizing the actual cost, or sometimes in my case, getting it for free, like living for free, or even being paid to live if what they're paying is more than the actual cost of keeping the property up. So again, this can be the fastest path to reducing your living costs. I absolutely love house hacking. Because with house hacking, again, I mean, look, you're going to live there anyway, so just have someone live with you, right? Or 2 or 3, or whatever you're comfortable with and whatever is legal in your area. You don't need experience to buy your first property. You just need a beginner-friendly framework. Most people feel stuck, not because it's too hard, but because nobody ever explained the starting point properly. If you want that starting point, tap the link and join the free training. So these are 3 nice strategies: long-term, medium-term, and house hacking if time is your major constraint. So if time is your major constraint as a beginner, flips are definitely not for you, right? Because unless you're able to employ people to do it all for you, and then I'm not sure where you're seeing the profit, the margins are going to get very, very thin very quickly. They're going to get squeezed. So flips, no, it's not for you, because the things in the way the flips are you're using short-term financing as well. It's not a beginner strategy. Yes, you can learn it. Yes, it can be fun, but there's a lot more risk. Now you can control that risk, but it's a very different strategy. It's more advanced, and it usually means going around, finding the right deal, different set of skills, getting the right financing, and then all the renovation and the headache, and if you've got to do any permitting and the townships. It's not for those that don't have time, right? That's for people who have all the time. They're real estate professionals. That's what they do. Or that's literally the only thing they do in their weekends and their evenings is just that thing. So it's also things like BRRRR. And I love the BRRRR strategy. You buy a house, you rehab the house, that means you're renovating it essentially. Then you decide to rent it out. Then you decide you want to refinance, take some of the money out of the house as you get it reappraised, and then you want to repeat getting into the next one. Now, I love the BRRRR strategy. The BRRRR strategy is good, but be careful with that. If you don't have much time, then the first R, that kind of rehab, well, it's probably not going to be for you if you've got no time. If you're watching this and you're working 3 jobs, or you're working as a surgeon, it doesn't matter what your income level is. It's more to do with your time. If you don't have much time, you're not going to really be able to do a good job with the rehab unless it's extraordinarily minor, like you're just changing one light bulb. And that really isn't, I'm not sure that's really regarded as rehab. But it's more to do with if you're painting, if you're doing cosmetic, that's the easiest. But even that, hate to break it to you guys, it's going to take a lot more time than you think. When you go in to get cabinets, it's not just the one time, it's usually 10 times, right? And it can be delays and there's issues and they can't do this and they can't do that. And there's just, it usually blows up. So in terms of time. So BRRRR could be okay, but because of the renovation aspect, it's usually not. The flipping, absolutely not. So rehab, unless you've got team and you've done this, so again, if you're like a repeat, if you're watching this and you've done this lots of times, good on you. And if you've got no time now, that's fine because you have teams. But if you're a beginner, right, these are not beginner strategies, especially for those that don't have time. But if you don't have time and you're a beginner, consider long-term renting, consider medium-term renting, and consider house hacking. So by the way, in my live training, I'm going to help you guys choose the right strategy based on your time and your budget. But you don't have to do all of these. And you certainly don't have to do them like multiple properties at once. You can do one property at a time. So let's build your wealth one property at a time. And I'll see you in the next one.